for the bonus.
I always freaking forget that. Oh my God. Thank God you said
It's the
something.
bonus, yeah. So that everybody can see that my hair's grown out like tremendously since
You have a fro, dude.
Dude, you don't even know. Like I air dried this while we were gone, and I went in the bathroom and was like, "What the?" It's legit like 2 inches, 3 inches taller than it is right now when it air dries. Like this is insane. Like this is because I like none of my hats fit anymore. Like my hats push up off my head when I get them set in place.
Show us the mullet. I want to see the mullet.
I know. I was gonna say proof for it didn't happen.
Mini mullet flip kit. Boom, son.
Oh, it's doing the duck thing. It's doing the duck thing in the back where it rolls up.
Yeah, that's the mini mullet starter kit. That's the little flip going on the back there. No, it's legit.
I love it.
I was thinking about it. I was like, maybe I'll just go get it trimmed and just keep letting it grow. And I'm just like, it's so annoying.
Oh, I mean, that would be, I've gone months without getting my haircut, and I finally today reached my breaking point, and I was like, this is ridiculous. And it's just me picking up the phone and like literally scheduling a hair appointment. But for whatever reason, that's been a struggle.
Yeah.
Well, I've decided I'm not going back to my regular barber people because they've decided to just throw an extra $10 on the charge to get my haircut. I'm like, I can't pay $50 to get my haircut. Like, that's ridiculous. Like, no. I mean, I'm not going to go back down to like the $7 supercut thing, but I'm not going to, I just can't. Like 35 was plenty because 35 plus tip. If I'm doing 50 plus tip, we're looking like $65. Like, no.
If I could get a haircut.
Thank you. I was about to be like, Bish, really? You want to come at us with this?
I understand for females, it's much different because you guys do cut, color, style, blow, fucking wash, all that shit.
Haircut was 85, not including tip.
I'll shave my head my damn self. Sarah will just have to be mad. I'll just walk out with nothing on my just bald ass head. Like, nope.
The amount of times I've almost shaved my head.
Oh,
I mean,
dude,
I think we should just do it. I'll do
it. When Sammy did it, I was like, oh my God, it looks so good. But knowing me, I would do it and I would look like a conehead person. Like I would legit, people would be like, what? Or they would think I was dying. I would be so bumpy, lumpy. It's got scar. Oh, it would be.
I know.
That's why Sarah won't let me shave my head, because I have 3 ridges on each side of my head that are wrinkles, and they go right here. And she tells me, she's like, you can't do it with the 6-pack of hot dogs. You just can't, because it just looks like the brains on the outside. I'm like, yeah.
Pack of hot dogs. She calls your head.
She does. She can't stand it because they legit. It's 3 this way. Like when I'm shaving my head, the clipper, I have to turn the clipper sideways and like go in the indent and dig like the hair out because they're like in there. They're ridges.
I'm like checking my head.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Because I thought about it because I was like, oh well, I've lost weight, so they're probably not there anymore. No, there's something.
I can't imagine.
Yeah, that's my fear, is that I have some weird shape to my head, but like Sammy makes it look so good.
I know. She looks amazing. I follow a couple women in our community and they shave their heads and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so jealous.
My hair, the girl that just cut my hair works with a barber, like an actual barber, and the barber was there and I was like, yeah, sometimes I just feel like I just want to shave my head, and they're like, I got the clippers right here, and I was like, no, I'm paying for the haircut.
He was ready to go. He's like, hey, we can shave this baby about $60.
Yeah, they were it's a cool place. It was a fun place. It's a queer owned barbershop in Little Issaquah, but yeah, I was like, no, I'm not ready for that yet, but thank you for the offer.
Now I know where to come if I decide to, but yeah, no, I can't. Like I'm lazy with haircuts. It's one way or the other. Like I legit have been like, so this whole last year, I only got my haircut when we were doing events. That was it. She'd show up, I'd show up, she'd be like, where are you going this time? Because she already knew. Like I was just like in between, I'm just like, nah, I'm good.
Oh my God.
I'm so lazy with haircuts. I mean, I have not cut this since the Just Be You Awards. Legit.
Wow.
I've just let it go. I'm just like, because in my mind, I'm like, oh, I'll just do like a Matthew McConaughey type of thing. I'll just let it all grow out, just be shaggy and curly and shit. And then I think about it and I'm like, I can't get there because I'm like, no.
As soon as your hats don't start fitting.
Yeah. Because it's legit. Like I put it on and I'm like, I get it set, and the next thing I know, it's like, and next time I'm sitting here like this, looking like an old farmer, and I'm like, nope, that's no good. So yeah, I noticed it a couple times this weekend because I've got a bigger hat that fits like fine over my hair, but then I looked in the mirror and it had raised up like 2 inches. I was like, oh, can't do that. The hair fights back, man. I'm telling you, it's a lie.
Oh my God. Dude, Jason, I was going to tell you, when you made that connection between why you have chosen to abstain from any type of drugs or alcohol for your life, and yet you did the exact same thing with food, I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Same.
Was that a recent revelation, or had you
No,
known
I actually
about
just
that?
thought about it while we were talking about it.
Dude, okay,
Yeah.
literally, because you said that and I was like, I have never heard this man say this before in my entire life. I mean, I was
No,
just like,
yeah. I legit
oh,
just made the connection while we were talking about it because I was like, you know what? That's kind of because I take like, and it's not that I ever look down on anyone for doing what they do. Like if you drink, smoke, whatever you choose to do with it, it's high five to you. I've been Project Safe Ride for many a drunk folk. You know, I herd the cats, I take care of the people. Like so it's always been my
Yeah.
thing.
where's my foot? Where's my foot? Yeah.
It's always been my thing forever. Like even when I was in high school, I was always making sure all my friends got home and all that stuff. So it never bothered me that other people did it, but I took that as a sense of pride for myself because my father, when I was very young, always told me, he's like, you don't have to drink, smoke, you don't have to alter yourself in any way to have a good time. You can enjoy life and yourself and your time out by just, being you. And so I developed my personality around the fact that I could do that without altering, because he also, he knew that I had a protective nature to me. And he would say things like, you can't be aware of all the things in your surroundings and what harm may come to people if you're altered in that way. You'll never be able to pay attention about everything going on if that's, if you do that. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So then not only like it's kind of funny when we go and do things like out places, like when I would go to the bar with my wife and friends or whatever, people would be like, are you good? Are you having a good time? And I'm like, oh yeah, no, I'm good. But I'm always scanning the room. I'm looking at the exits. I'm making sure they're clear. I'm making sure nobody's doing anything funny. I'm watching drinks. I'm making sure everybody's, making sure everybody else is having a good time. It's a good time for me because I know everybody's not only going to be safe, but I'm doing the things I need to do to make sure that everybody's good. And so that to me has always been like where I derive my joy of going out and doing things. So making that connection in that way was kind of startling for me because I was like, no, I've walked this, righteous path. I'm not doing all this stuff, And then I think about it, and I'm like, oh, I just changed the narrative. I was just like, I'm not doing any of those things. But yeah, give me the triple meat, triple cheese with all the mayo and all the fries I can possibly fit in a bucket, and I'm going to eat all that.
Well, and you're still altering your state, right? Because I mean, I can think back, I would just sometimes eat just so I could just numb out and not think about anything.
Oh yeah, because
So,
think about it. How effective am I going to be after I've eaten all those things? If something really was to happen, I'm just going to be like, "I'll be there in a minute." 468 pounds, like, let me save you. Yeah, I'll be right there. Like, I'm going to carry somebody to their safety, all fucking meat sweats and fucking all drunk on gravy and shit. Like, no.
and even at your size, you couldn't physically help somebody, even if they needed. At your old size, you couldn't have done that.
No, not at my heaviest. I was doing good to save my damn self from
Right?
anything going on. So yeah, I didn't ever think, and it just never dawned on me that way because it's just thinking back to all the times that things had happened that I really actually did get to have the opportunity to try to save people from different things. I was always much smaller. Like I was even smaller than I am now, when things like we were coming home from, sorry, pterodactyl bug. When
that was a huge ass bug. I was literally
yeah,
like,
I was like, I do live in Florida, so you guys know.
no, we don't know. That's why we don't live there.
We were coming up from Louisiana one time, and there was a major car wreck on the highway. The guy actually passed away in the car, but we were trying to get him out of his truck, but he passed away before we could. But I was, ran across a 6-lane highway, dodging cars and things to get to the guy that, get him out, try to get him out before his truck caught fire and bad things happened because fuel was leaking, everything. It was a whole thing. But there was no way I could have done that at my size. Like I never would have made it across the highway. Like stop and rest in the middle of an active highway is probably not the best thing to do. So, yeah, but I mean, there was different times in my life where stuff like that had happened, but I thinking back now was always much smaller when they did, thankfully, because I wouldn't have been able to do that at a smaller size. I mean, at my biggest size now.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
It was crazy. Yeah. When you said that, literally, I was like, I'm sorry, what? Like, that's an aha moment.
Yeah.
I made that revelation a while ago with my mom.
You did too?
Yeah, with my mom. My mom's a recovering alcoholic. She's been about 13 years sober at this point, so over a decade. But yeah, we talked about it because I mean, it didn't scare me out of it, but she would kind of be like, we have addiction in our family, like, don't do this thing until you're, an adult, until you're 21, like, it's dangerous, blah, blah, blah. Like,
because it's not addicting after you turn 21. That's as long as you wait that long, nobody ever gets addicted once you pass the 21 year old.
Irish Catholic, it's, my first drink, I did have a glass of wine once with my grandma, because she poured it for me, and I was like, well, I'm not going to say no to my grandma, but I never like got drunk or like drank in excess prior to being 21 out of fear. Like I thought, oh my God, like I don't want to be an addict. I don't want to have all these horrible things happen. Like I was very like scared out of drinking in excess. And I was talking to my mom about it. I was like, yeah, like, I know you never meant to, but you did really scare me out of, drinking in excess for a long time. And she was like, well, like, I'm glad. And I was like, yeah. And then I was thinking about it and I was like, but I'm pretty sure I just used food instead. And I felt bad because I made that revelation with her in my presence. And I feel like she felt really guilty, parental guilt, like I should have done better. Immediately had to be like, but it wasn't your fault. But it was kind of like, I don't know. It was a weird conversation, but I made that revelation maybe about a year or so ago of like, yeah, well, I mean, same with you, Jason. Like I was drinking 12 packs of diet soda, like 3 a week. 12 packs of diet soda a week.
Wow.
That's a lot. I mean, that's a lot. I was, I would go to the school and I would save whatever money I earned and I would buy all the chips and candy and whatever. Like I was an addict, but I wasn't an alcoholic. And to my family, that was good. So.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, you're not an alcoholic, so. Because my family is full of alcoholics and drug addicts. So I was the good kid. I was the golden child. I didn't smoke marijuana until I was in college. Nothing until I was, old enough. I was the rule follower.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
mm-hmm.
The only place I wasn't was food.
Bingo. Yep.
Because I wanted to rebel, but I couldn't in the ways that I wanted to.
Bingo. Yep. That is my MO, right? I grew up in a very loving home, but it was very kind of rigid. There was just things that you did and you didn't do. And you towed the line, you walked the line, right? But I just, yeah, I needed some place to not be perfect, because I was trying so hard to be perfect in all other facets of my life. There was this one area that I needed to just not be perfect in, and that was it. Food was it. Yeah. And
I tried
same thing.
I tried
Oh
every
yeah.
I the biggest fight, aside from things related to my weight and eating habits, the biggest fight my mom and I ever had, my Irish Catholic mother, was that I wanted to be Mormon because all my friends were Mormon and
Oh my
went to
God.
like all these parties and youth groups. And I said, Mom, I want to be Mormon. And she just was like, I will never, like, you guys have met my mom. She is like very sweet and loving and like never raised her voice. Her face just, you will never be. I just remember her face just like melting into this like fury. So I was like, well, that didn't work. And so then I would like, fake my report cards. Well, that didn't work. It's like, what could I get away with? Food. It was the one thing that I could get away with was food. Yeah.
It just amazes me at how I mean, every day it is just it is so connected to like every facet of life. I don't think there's a single thing that I could not connect food or obesity back to.
Yeah.
My,
No,
my life is obesity. Like,
well, the fact that the revelations keep coming even 3 years out, 4 years out, lets us know to our fact that that will never be done. Like you're never going to know everything you need to know about
Yeah.
yourself, even not even about just the journey, but
Yeah.
about yourself and how it connects all the way back. Like you can connect the dots back as far as you want. You're going to find shit in there that you didn't know was there. You're going to stumble across it, and it's going to scare the shit out of you. And that's okay. It's okay to be taken off guard or caught off guard by something like that, because I mean, that's the only way you're going to make the connection and get past whatever it is, so that it doesn't hang around and keep tormenting you during your journey.
and yeah, I realized while working with Rodolfo last year that a lot of my childhood I just blocked out. Like that's what food did for me, was like, it didn't erase it, but it just was like a file cabinet. We're just going to put this all the way to the back. We're just,
And then we're only going to open the cabinet halfway, so we don't even see that.
yeah, I'm just going to open it like half, maybe a quarter of the way. Oh yeah, I remember this. Like the things that I remember from the last decade, cool, I can remember that. Any farther back, it's like I really have to sit and think and allow those things to come back, which is hard and scary and not fun. But like you said, Jason, it's part of what we have to do to heal and to heal our obesity. And
Yep.
yeah.
Well, one of the best gifts Wendy gave me, and she really helped me through that like commitment period when I was going through it, because I was just so fucking angry that like every day or every week something new would come up and I would have to deal with it. It was like, I don't understand why I'm just not beyond this. Like, this is just like, oh my God, right? Like, check, you guys know me, like, I'm done, check, did this. Wendy explained it to me. She's like, your life is a filing cabinet. And she said, all of these experiences that you've gone through, right? You open up a drawer and you file it away, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you go through life constantly opening and rifling through that filing cabinet. And every time you pull a new file out of that cabinet, it's going to require that you address it. And that you might need to apply, like you got to put something else in that folder and then you put it away and close the door. But this is life. So if you think that you're going to open up that filing cabinet one day and there's going to be no files in there, you are sadly mistaken. Like that is the journey, right? And I was like, but I'm moving through the files. Like I'm like, oh, solve that. Oh, okay, done. And she's like,
It's sticky notes. You're putting sticky notes on the files. You're not burning them.
Wendy unplugged your shredder, so you're like, I can't get rid of this shit. What do you
Oh
mean?
my God, dude. I have never cussed at a professional so much in my entire life. Like, thank God she loved me or knew that I wasn't malicious. But it was like every time I met with her, it was like, fuck you, Wendy, fuck you. And you just, just rage. And she was just like, it's okay. Like, I understand, thank God, she was a patient herself too, but I just could not understand why I could not, it's like, but I've dealt with this. And she's like, sure, you dealt with that for this instance. Open up your filing cabinet. You got 10,000 other instances that are similar to this, but it ain't this. And I was like,
Right.
It was, my grandma had them. They were in the filing cabinet, but they were the hanging ones where you could put things in
multiple.
It's like that.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I didn't know that all of this was in one file thing, and being like, what the fuck? Like, what? I cuss to my therapist also, but mine is different than April's. Mine is what the fuck? I'm like sobbing. So
you guys know I don't have tear ducts. Mine was just straight rage, just straight.
No, mine is I cry, but it's always I'm like frustrated, so I cry. So I'm like, what the fuck?
Something happened the other day. I don't know what it was. I can't remember if I was in the car or I was watching something on TV. And whatever happened, stuff just hit me. And I was like getting emotional. I think I almost cried. And I was like, what the fuck? I mean, I literally turned to Grady.
Mad instead of crying.
I was just like, I don't understand what this is. And he just looked at me. He's like, well, you are getting older. And I was like, motherfucker. I mean, that snapped me out of it.
That wasn't the right response.
That's the worst thing to say. Especially
it was. You. It got me out of it. And I was like, oh, thank God. Okay. Oof.
That's why you're made for each other.
Do is cry. How dare you?
I'm just not used to it.
Wet.
You're not emotional.
You're really not. The one time I did see it, it was awkward. But
yeah.
When did I cry?
Ohio, man, don't lie.
Oh, that was your fucking. That is 1,000% your fault. I blame you.
You would have cried this weekend too if you would have seen me get emotional this weekend. I cried in front of everything.
Oh.
Yeah, you would have really lost that shit this weekend.
Oh yeah,
that was way worse.
We were all sobbing.
Dude, remember?
Sorry,
fucking Maddie.
Oh yeah. I mean, if anyone can make me cry, it's everybody, but especially Maddie.
Dude, Jason turned around that damn picture and he was sobbing, and oh my God, just seeing his before.
I was like, oh, this is going to be really comforting. And I just feel his body going like this because he's crying. And I see Sarah's hand going like this. And I looked at him and I was like, oh God, I can't look at you. And then I went to look at April, and April was tearing up, and I was like, oh God, what do I do?
We cry.
Cry. Yep. Sometimes you just got to let it go, man. It was weird that it hit me this weekend because I was telling the same damn story I've told. Like I've the same thing about the college tour and Jordan and all that shit. But I guess it was being around other fathers at the time.
Yeah.
And Chris and Ked and, some of the other people that were there, it hit in a different way talking to people that A, didn't know the story, but B, around just a different set of people with a different mindset, knowing that those are two amazing fathers that I look up to, and having to admit shortcomings for myself in that realm that I hold myself to such a high standard for. It just hit in a way different way. And I fell apart. It was wild.
I have a theory about that. And I was actually thinking about this when you said you were getting emotional, because I had a feeling because the Jordan story is that is like that's your Phoenix, like that's your Rome crumbling.
Yeah.
But you have done so much like acceptance, or you've shifted. I swear to God, like you are living through the commitment. You are showing people what the commitment is. But we all have these stories that we tell. And they're true, but we just don't want to believe them. And I think you get to the point where you finally accept your own story as truth and you just accept it as yours. And it's almost like that's the moment where you can move beyond the story, where you can forgive yourself for whatever transgression you feel that you have committed against the world and our loved ones. And you can truly let that shit go. I wonder if that's what it is. Because I feel like I've heard that story from you 100 times now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just, it was kind of crazy. And I don't know, like you said, I mean, I don't know if it was revisiting it and put me back in such a raw place.
But you revisit it every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's once you accept it. I think, you know, I got really emotional during, well, of course I did, but the Just Be You awards, right? Like winning an award for revisions, like that was my deep, dark past, and being able to accept it. Like now I talk about it with freeness and like acceptance. You can
There's a lightness.
yeah, it's no longer heavy. So I think you had to go through that emotional part of it, because that was your acceptance. That was your, like, this is my story.
Do you remember the word that I wanted to call the commitment? And y'all forebode me?
Oh yeah, like the reckoning or some shit.
The reckoning, but that is what we're talking about though, right? It's where you get
scare people.
Yeah, right.
The reckoning makes me think of the devil, and I don't want to think on that. So
yeah, but no, I mean, you're right in a sense, because it was, yeah, it was a strange situation.
But you accepted it as truth.
Yeah, no, I did.
Like you owned it.
Yeah.
Maybe like, and I'm not saying that you have never owned it, because you have owned it. It is your story. But it's almost like, I mean, and this is for you to think about and tell us if we're right or wrong, but it's almost like you got to the reckoning and you just decided, nope, this is true. I did this, my actions, right? Like, oh, that, yes, you owned it completely and wholly.
Yeah.
And we can't move forward until we own our actions and our decisions and our behaviors. We have to 100% own them.
Yeah, no, you're right.
So it's going to be really interesting to just mull on it, because if that really is a piece to this.
yeah.
And you did it publicly, Jason, too. Like you did it, like you were on, like.
Yeah, because when the Q&A thing that we were doing, the roundtable started, I was in the seats with everybody else. Like we were all sitting next to each other, kind of in a row. And when I got up to do something with Ken in the kitchen and came back, somebody had moved next to Sarah. They were talking about some other stuff. So I took a seat in front of everyone. So like I'm sitting in the kitchen and everyone else is in front of me looking at me while I'm talking about this. So it became more of from me being in the crowd to me being, kind of addressing the crowd. And that's when I told it. And so it was just different. Like I had talked about 10 other, I'd answered 10 other questions in totally different ways, and it didn't bother me a bit. But once everybody's attention was kind of focused on me, it was a different situation.
Well, was that the first time that you had told your story without anybody else around? And I don't mean to say this, but the only time I've heard you tell the Jordan story is with Nat or I, or just with me in a podcast format. Nobody else was there. It was you. You were just speaking your story.
I think so. I think that was the first time. You may be right.
Yeah. So maybe you felt like it wasn't you as BariNation in that moment. It was you.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah. And I would imagine that was you just, I mean, we talk about this all the time. Like we're carrying around bags that are, we got luggage that ain't ours. I wonder if that was just a piece of baggage that you were ready to drop, to let go of.
Yeah, I mean, the guilt of it, I think there will always be a component of that that stays with me, even though Jordan's let me off the hook for it. I just don't think as a father I'll ever get there where I can just be like, yeah, it is what it is. Like, I just don't think I'll ever be able to do that. But beating myself up over it is much less now. I don't do that. I don't feel the same way I feel when I talk about it now, because he and I have had the conversations about it. He doesn't feel that way. He's let me know, in no uncertain terms, because, kids' loves are damn near unconditional. So there's been a lot of growth and healing since that's happened. And we've done a lot of things together that we never would have been able to do when I was at my highest weight. So I think making up for a lot of that stuff now has helped him to realize that it's not that I didn't care, it's that I just wasn't capable.
Yeah.
yeah.
But do you notice you feel different about it now, just in the couple days that it's been since? Sort of like, do you feel like something has shifted in your own understanding of your life since that moment this weekend?
A little bit. It wasn't just like a grand awakening that just kind of released all the tension and the pain that I felt surrounding the situation. But it felt good to talk about it in that way. It felt good to get emotional about it. Like, I think that's one of the reasons why I just let it happen when it started happening, and I didn't fight it and choke it down. I just let it go because I knew I was in a safe space. I knew that I was around people that not only cared, but were going to take care of me in that moment. So I didn't have any, the whole damn room almost was in tears. So basically I knew that I wasn't, that everybody had a moment in their life they felt like they could connect with in my story. So
yeah, Melanie, oh my God, now I'm gonna have to go through all my goddamn notebooks again. But Melanie, there's a line that Melanie always talks about, and it's related to this. It's something about like how, we just want to be accepted or seen for the person that we are. It had something to do with like, it's trauma. I'm totally fucking this up, but I'm gonna look. But what you're saying, for whatever reason, I hear Melanie in my head right now.
Yeah.
And well, I mean, just the fact that you felt so safe, and you trusted the fact you trusted the fact that nobody was going to think less of you because they knew this deep, dark secret.
Yeah.
Right. You knew that they already accepted you for everything. So your whole self could be present and there was no judgment.
Yeah, it was an amazing place to be in, and I think that's why I was able to kind of get as raw as I did.
Wow.
I'm glad you had that time. I'm glad that you could hold space for yourself, but I'm also glad that other people held space for you in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it was one of the more amazing gifts of the weekend, I would say.
That's pretty rad. That's huge, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. It was good. It was very, as Nat likes to say, very cathartic for me to do that and able to relax a lot more the rest of the weekend, given after that.
Yep. Well, we always feel better after we have these conversations. And I always feel bad. Like, I feel like we can't, whenever we're together in person, we can't have these conversations because we're drawn in like so many flipping different directions, right? Or there's like all these other people around and we want to spend time with them. It's like, This is the only time where we get to have these conversations that help us move forward.
Yeah.
Which
sometimes we know the people need just as much love as we do. So we provide that for other people. So
yeah.
sometimes this may be our only safe space sometimes, and that's okay.
Yeah, it just seemed,
I love holding space for other people too. Right?
yeah, oh
Like,
God,
these
yeah.
conversations that we get to have, even if they are on Zoom, but they allow me to hold space for other people too.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I just think about yeah, I do think about, well, I mean, shit, Jason, you and I had a really deep conversation at the bar at Just Be You, and that was like 2 minutes. So
Yeah.
I guess it doesn't have
It
to.
doesn't take much for us to have deep conversations.
That's true. Oh my God. I just remember, I just remember like, what the fuck is wrong with you, dude? Like,
I
what
don't
the-
even know where I was. I was probably stressing out in a corner somewhere.
I don't know. Just for whatever reason, I looked at him and he looked at me, and I was just like over what, like I could tell something was wrong, and I had no time to like tiptoe around shit. You guys know how I am. And I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah.
Well, because it had been like since I walked in the damn door, and everybody knew that something was off. And everybody was
Yeah.
like, "It's good." Like going to Sarah, like, "Hey, what's going on? Like, how's it going?" And I wasn't being honest with anybody.
Yeah.
No.
I didn't say anything, but I knew something was off.
Mhm. Yep. And I think I was just tired of him bullshitting. And I was like, what? Let's have this out. We're just right here, right now. And then he got really emotional. Then I felt terrible. And I was like, oh God, I do make everybody cry.
You
I
listen.
know. I have a
The
reputation.
first time I ever met April in person,
Ah!
I was crying on her couch at 12:30 in the morning, and I don't even remember what we were talking about,
Oh,
but I was sobbing, and April was like, "And why do you feel this way?" Like, full on, like, no. Maybe that's why I wasn't around you on the Just Be You Awards, because I was like, she's gonna suck me in.
kept your safe
cry.
distance so you knew you would cry. I'm gonna run
Hey.
back there.
If I
No,
can make other people feel their feelings, I don't have time to feel my own. It works
Well,
beautifully.
and it was funny because, you know, I was in the room before we left. We were getting ready. And I used to, and I'm not saying I'm completely better because we all know, I used to have a huge anger problem, huge anger problem. I would always, you know, my thing I repeat to myself all the time is inanimate objects always win, because I used to punch whatever the hell was closest to me. I would knock holes and shit. I've destroyed headboards from the bed while the bed was attached. Like, I used to be a rage monster. I used to just, and I'm too damn big for that shit. So I've had to calm down because I've had to replace a lot of things over the years. So Sarah knows that I've been working on this for a very long time. Hadn't punched anything in a very long time. That day when I got dressed, I punched the wall in the hotel room and almost put a hole in it. And she was like, "We're not doing this today. We're not bringing that back today. That guy doesn't live here anymore. We're not doing that." And so I had to just kind of choke it all in. And just because it was right before we left, like we were walking out the door. And it was when I had tried to put all my stuff together and realized how tight everything was, and that I wasn't fitting, and I was going to look not like I wanted to look. And I just was so overwhelmed with all of the shit that I just reached out, I just smacked her off. And she was just like, "Whoa, absolutely not. We're not doing this." So then we just had to pour ourselves in the Uber and go. Like, I had to try to turn it on right then and leave. And I'm like, And that's why when I got there, everybody was just kind of like, "You good?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not
Oh my
good."
God. And here this bitch comes. What the fuck's wrong with you?
Oh my God.
But that was the thing. Like, I spent so much time raging out about shit instead of just feeling the emotions and letting them come and do what I needed to do.
Yeah.
And that's why I knew I couldn't do, like, I knew that hitting an inanimate object wasn't going to fix it. It wasn't going to make anything any better. And so breaking it down in its rawest form with you was the only way I could make the connection I needed to make, and realize that in my head, I don't need to look like everybody else on the stage to get my point across, to get my message across, or for anybody to think that I'm less than or not worthy enough to be up on the stage, or I'm not I'm not inspirational to somebody. Like, And that's all the things that I was harboring at the time. And just, I had to let it all go. I had to put it down. It got too heavy.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And that really I mean, that is in my book, that is your turning point. That is where you started to exit the commitment, right? Like, I really think at that point, you just realized like, okay, I can't keep doing this. I can't keep
Yeah, no,
living this way.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus. Dude, it's just amazing.
Yes,
How far we've all come.
it is indeed.
Amazing. I was just talking to my mom about that. She's very happy that, or proud of us for being panelists at the retreat. And she thought that our trip to
Houston
was the retreat, and she was like, "Are you ready?" Like, she was like freaking out, and I was like, "Mom, I have until November. Like, chill out, it's fine." And then she was like, "Oh," and then she just went in about like, "I remember when you were nervous to go on their podcast," and we kind of went down memory lane, and it is cool. It's cool to like think back to the growth that we've been through.
Yep.
Absolutely. And make sure you tell your dear mother that I said hello and that I miss her.
You guys,
Kiss
when I
ass.
tell you,
Kiss ass.
my mom adores Jason.
I know. She even told me.
I know. She
Kiss ass. You're just a kiss ass. That's all you are.
I think
Not
she
me.
loves Jason more than me.
Here, I got some Lana lips for you. You need a little balm for the.
But yes, no, she loved meeting. I think being able to meet you guys and those watching this that were in Portland, it was huge for her, because now I can tell her about people, and she oh, I think like Laura, I was talking about Laura Graybow. I said she's our mediator. She's a bariatric therapist. Oh, I think I met her in Portland. And, so it was pivotal for her too, to be able to meet and see so many people that she hears me talk about all the time. So, yeah.
So I'll share this little thing, and then we need to go and have an evening. My girlfriends are thinking about coming to retreat. I was like, what? So I talked to Callie. Yeah, the OG squad. So I talked to Callie the other day. She called me out of the blue, and it's been a long time. Anyways, we had a wonderful catch up, like conversation Friday night. I don't know what it was. And I was telling her about retreat, and I was like, yeah, we've been selected, we're super excited. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be this bougie resort and blah, 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 blah. And she just kind of like interrupted me a little bit. And she's like, why don't you ask us to come? And I was like, what? And she's like, have you ever thought that maybe we would want to join you? And I was like, I have not. She said, well, it might be kind of fun for us to like see you in action and to see what you do and to start meeting the people that you talk about often. She's like, it could be a really cool opportunity for us to like hang out. I was like, okay. And I said, well, would you want to like buy a ticket and go to the session? She's like, oh yeah, I totally would. And I was like, oh my God. So I sat on it for a night, and then I texted everybody yesterday. And yeah, they're legit like, yeah, no, we're really thinking about coming. Like, we want to see what this is all about. We want to come with you. And they're like, but how much time do we actually get with you? And I was like, oh yeah, it'll be like nothing. It will be absolutely nothing.
No time.
Zilch.
No, zilch. I was like, hangout time, like at the, happy hours and all that kind of stuff. Yes. At the gala, blah, blah, blah. So they're like, well, maybe we won't buy a ticket, but we will maybe come down Saturday, and then we can hang out, Monday, Tuesday. And I was like, oh my God, it just blew me away a little bit that she was like, have you ever thought about inviting us? And I was like,
I mean, I will say, inviting your support people to these things really does give them perspective into a lot.
I just feel bad, because it's like, you're going to come down there and I'm not going to have any time to devote to you. But I think they know that. But I think at the same time, like for Callie, she just said like, it would be cool to just see you in action, like just see this from your perspective, because I've only heard it from you. I've never seen it. So if I can see it, then maybe, you know, it will help me understand what's going on.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I guess I never really thought about that. But at the same time, like I've been to Callie's events that she's hosted, you know, I helped her out at a wedding, you know, so it's like, I've seen behind the curtain on what she does. And that was rad. So it's like, oh, well, then I guess why wouldn't they? So long story short, that happened this weekend. And I was
That's
like,
awesome.
That's awesome.
okay, right? I know. I don't know exactly how to feel about it, but I put the invitation out there. And now I've talked to Callie and Steph and Maria. And they're all like, no, so I sent them a text message. Nobody said anything, which in my world is like, okay, bitches, like, fine. Like, okay, I put my heart out there and you just stomped on it. Come to find out, I talked to Steph today and she's like, oh, no, I've talked to Callie and I talked to Kristen and Maria's talked to Callie. And I was like, oh, so you guys are thinking about this. And she's like, oh yeah, no, if we can make this work, we're going to come.
That's awesome. My OG friends just get jealous that we do things that they don't get to do. They don't give a shit. They're just like, well, you do all those events, but you don't come with us. No, because I ain't got time. Like, you want to drop of a hat, like we're going to the Keys tomorrow for 6 weeks. Can you go? Like, no. I don't have much vacation time. Shut up. Like, well, we're just going to go drive across the country. Can you come in an RV? No. Okay, well, screw you then. They just get mad about shit. But I'm just like, dude, like, this thing's well planned out, well thought out. Like, I know November's coming, so I got to say vacation time for that. I can't just take off and do random stuff. Like, I'm sorry, like, it sucks, but, you know?
I tell my mom too. She got on me the other day because I guess my aunt and her want to go to Las Vegas to visit my family in Henderson. And she was like, yeah, so when are you free? I'm not. Like,
Yeah.
Tell me you'll be in Vegas in June when we do the ASMB.
Right? No, literally.
Make it a twofer.
What do you mean? What? You should have talked to me in December. Like, I was at your house for 10 days. Like, why was this not? And she was like, well, I didn't think that. She's like, oh, you're so busy. And I was like, look around, Mom. What is my life right now? Like, yes, I'm busy. Like, I got shit to do. I got places to go, people to see. Like, So.
You need to book me. You need to book a year. Somebody asked me the other day, like, what are you doing this weekend? I was like, oh, this. What about this weekend? This. What about that weekend? Oh no, this. And they were literally like, so you're telling me you have no free time for the remainder of the year? And I was like, yeah, that's actually what I'm telling you.
Yeah, not really. Sorry.
I don't think I have a free month, like without something planned, until October.
I have July.
No, we have something in October too, don't we?
Yeah.
Isn't September the?
Oh,
I can't.
is it?
We can take this offline, but I think it's the last weekend of September.
Oh, okay. So then October. No, we have something in October.
I think we do too. I think I think I have May and July free. The end.
I'm panicking. What are we?
No, because July.
Wait, what?
No, July.
Yep,
You're coming to my house.
Yep, no July. Sorry, May.
No, you're booked in July.
I got May. That's it.
Yep. And we got the weekend in April now.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I don't know. For some reason,
my April is like my March and April are fucking bananas. Like those two shits. I'm gonna be cool.
Oh my god.
Because think about it. So, and it's not even March yet, but February. So I did the cabin trip now. This weekend coming up, I'm going to Daytona. Then right after that, I'm coming to Houston.
Yep.
And then so April's going to be 2 trips again. So yeah.
Yep. And then it's spring break, and then it's New Orleans, and then it's here.
Yeah.
Yeah, May.
And there's 2 events in New Orleans, so I'm going to be running back and forth between hotels in New Orleans. So that's really going to be bananas.
Wait, what? Oh yeah.
Yeah. Holy shit.
What's in October?
But you know, I live for that shit. This is my bag. Like I love
it too, but balancing a full-time job with this.
Oh yeah, no, that part sucks. When I can do this full time and we can I can just travel and do shit, I'll be super happy. But it's the working in between that sucks.
Dude.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. All right, friends, let's go forth and have an evening.
Absolutely.
We should, maybe on Wednesday, we should talk a little bit about Houston or find another day just to plan, right? Because I want the chop meal for the boy. Like, I kind of want to just think about,
Oh, yes, 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 yes.
yeah, you know, all that kind of stuff. So I just want to get that mapped out. And then if we are doing headshots, you know, we just got to coordinate.
Yeah, Whitney said that she had someone, so I was giving her until she was back home from.
Oh, good. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Tab just messaged me and said she dropped her off at the airport. She was supposed to fly out at 9 o'clock, but her flight got delayed to like 11:25. So now she
Oh my
can't
God.
leave until super
Dude,
late.
the flights have been, oh my God. Steph's living nightmare was just unbelievable. Risto's
Oh,
living nightmare.
that was so crazy.
Oh my God, it was so bad. So bad.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's find it.
Time I have to hop off to my OG friend Zoom that we planned.
Nice. Go enjoy. Tell the OG friends we said hello.
Yeah, invited to retreat. Come on.
And
It's a thing.
tell them thank you for sharing you. That's what we appreciate.
Of course. I tell them that a lot.
All right. All right, love you, ladies.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.